Welcome, everyone. Today we're talking about high-speed rail in America, also known as the dream that keeps getting stuck in traffic. This presentation is called The Long Road Ahead, which is a very polite way of saying we've been trying for a while, and we're still trying. But don't worry, we'll break this down in a simple way. What high-speed rail is, why the rest of the world built it, and why the U.S. is still debating it like it's a new invention. Let's get into it. Okay, this slide is the part where America looks around and says, "Wait, you all built how much?" The world built nearly 35,000 miles of high-speed rail. China alone built over 25,000 miles. Europe has thousands too. And then we have the United States, proudly showing 0 miles of true high-speed rail above 160 miles per hour. That big O is not a typo. That's a full-size, premium, American-made O. And while over 3 billion passengers ride high-speed rail globally every year, we're still like, should we drive? Fly? Or just complain about traffic again? This slide is basically saying America's high-speed rail problem is not one problem. It's more like a 4-course meal of difficulty. The economic equation: it's expensive. Governance gridlock. Everyone's involved and nobody's in charge. Physical reality. The country is huge and the land is not free. Execution complexity. The engineering and rules are intense. So yes, we can build it, but the challenge is we have to survive the full obstacle course first. This slide explains why building high-speed rail in America can feel like ordering something online and then realizing the shipping costs more than the product. The construction cost in the U.S. is much higher than in China or Europe, and here's the problem. We're trying to sell a premium transportation system in a country where people already own cars. Gas is often cheaper than many other places. Flights can be surprisingly affordable. So high-speed rail isn't competing against a broken system. It's competing against a system Americans already use, even if it's stressful. And the slide makes another great point. American cities were designed around cars. So rail is basically trying to move into a neighborhood that wasn't built for it. This slide is the classic American argument, and it goes like this. If high-speed rail is profitable, people say, great, let private companies build it. But if it's not profitable, people say, then why are we spending public money on it? So the project gets stuck in the middle like, hello, I'm too big for private funding alone and too expensive for politics to love me. And unlike highways, we don't have a consistent national high-speed rail plan. So every time we try to start, we fund it a little bit, then stop, then fund it again, then argue, then stop again. That's not a construction schedule. That's an emotional relationship. This slide proves high-speed rail is not just engineering. It's also a very intense game of, can we please buy your land? Texas Central proposed a route from Dallas to Houston. Sounds simple, right? But then comes the big issue. The train needs a straight path, and the land is privately owned. And once land acquisition starts, people begin asking, who gave you permission to cross my property? What's eminent domain? Why is this train trying to take my backyard? The result? Lawsuits, delays, politics, and rising costs. Because in America, the hardest thing to tunnel through is not rock. It's paperwork and property rights. This slide is where nature looks at engineers and says, oh, you want to build high-speed rail? Cute. California's project requires tunneling through the San Gabriel Mountains, sometimes at extreme depths, and crossing near major fault systems. So this is not just laying tracks. This is drilling deep boreholes, analyzing rock cores, planning for seismic risks, designing tunnels that will survive decades. It's basically a reminder that high-speed rail is not a train project. It's an engineering mega-project wearing a train costume. This slide is about Buy America rules, and I'll summarize it like this. The U.S. says, yes, we want high-speed rail, but we want it built with 100% domestic materials, domestic manufacturing, and domestic production. Which sounds great, until you realize the supply chain for high-speed rail equipment is not fully established here at scale. Also, the slide points out something important. There's basically no partial credit, so you can't say, we're 80% domestic, can we start? The system says, no, come back when you're 100%. So it's like trying to bake a cake, but the recipe says, you may only use ingredients grown in your backyard. This slide shows that the U.S. isn't doing nothing. It's experimenting with three major approaches. California, big public mega project. Brightline West, private-led sprint. Texas Central, public-private reboot. So we're basically running three different test cases to answer the question, what kind of model actually works in America? Because clearly, the just build it model has been slightly delayed. This slide is a lesson in how long big projects can take. In 2008, voters approved funding. Great energy, big dreams. By 2023, a 119-mile segment is under construction. That's progress, but also a reminder that time moves faster than infrastructure. The cost estimate grew from about $33 billion to around $128 billion. That's not inflation. That's a whole personality change. Opening is projected around 2030 to 2033, which means the train might be ready just in time for some of us to retire and finally enjoy it. Now, here's the slide that feels more optimistic. Brightline West is private-led, and it's using the I-15 highway corridor between Las Vegas and Southern California. That's a smart move because it reduces land fights. It's like saying, instead of arguing with thousands of landowners, let's build where the highway already exists. Funding includes private investment and federal support, and the goal is to open around the 2028 Olympics. So this is the fast and focused strategy. Basically, fewer battles, fewer surprises, and hopefully, fewer decades. This slide shows Texas Central's story in three stages. Stage 1, the promise. Dallas to Houston, high-speed rail, big potential. Stage 2, the stall. Land acquisition and legal delays. Stage 3, the pivot. Partnering with Amtrak. This is like a project saying, okay, we tried doing this alone. Now we need a partner who has experience and public integration. The key takeaway is, even strong roots can fail without the right political and institutional support. In America, the train doesn't just need tracks. It needs allies. This slide is the blueprint for success. First, stable long-term federal funding. Not one-time checks, not temporary grants. Real consistency. Second, choose the right corridors. Places with high population, high demand, and fewer physical barriers. Third, combine public authority with private efficiency. Use government to reduce risk and private sector to deliver speed and innovation. And the final point is very important. America needs one successful line to prove it can work. Because once people experience it, demand grows. And when demand grows, politicians suddenly become very interested. And this last slide wraps it up beautifully. High-speed rail is more than transportation. It's a test of whether America can commit to long-term national infrastructure. The U.S. has the talent and resources, but the barriers are unique: cost, politics, land, and execution. So the message is, this is hard, but it's doable. And if we can pull it off, it can improve connectivity, sustainability, and competitiveness. In other words, the train can happen. We just need the national will to stay on track.